Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Bollocks, because that's what I do. Episode 9. This week it's not going to be old comedies for once. It's a new year, so happy new year. New comedies. And a new comedy, it's a bit of a niche. It's called Upload. It's on Amazon Prime. It's just so like now, but set in 10 years time from now. I'd say about 10 years time. It's like there's like self-driving cars. There's like 3D printing meals. I've just lost a streamer, and and it's about this guy who's quite vain. Is his microphone working? Hope so. This is the second time now. I've got no one here to actually say no, it's not working, because I've got other mics I can use. This guy who's quite vain, and his girlfriend too. Always taking selfies, blah blah blah. He's in a self-driving car that's not supposed to crash, and then it crashes. And so he's either gonna he goes to hospital and his girlfriend's there. The girlfriend won the car, but she meets him at the hospital, and she's like, "Oh, if you die, then we can be together forever and all this, and you can be uploaded." And the nurses are like, "Well, you could actually survive and all this," and he's like, "I don't know what to do." And then he's like, "Well, if I get uploaded, then and carry on living, but like virtually, hence the name Upload. Can I have sex?" And they're like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Oh right." So he could have maybe survived the accident, but she sort of like manipulates him, and as she's quite rich, well, her family's quite rich, she sort of owns him. So anything he wants, any clothes he wants to wear, blah blah blah. And if he falls out with her, which sort of happens from time to time, because he realises he's not as shallow as he thinks he is, but his girlfriend is, and he wants someone who's like more down to earth and things like that, and who he thinks of who's down to earth and nice and blah blah blah, who doesn't just think about herself, is this girl who works at this sort of, it's like a call centre, and they're like the angels, they call themselves, but they're more like the guardians, or same thing. And they, like, if you need anything, you just go angel, and they come. Either you see them in person, or they talk to you, and like any problems, issues, and things like that. And he sort of starts befriending her more than his girlfriend, who he can still communicate, even though she's not dead, but and he is, but through because he's like in this virtual world, and he can like go on like Skype or something, I don't know, like a iPad or something, and talk to her through that, and he can talk to his family like his mum. And his mum's not very rich, so if he chooses to split with his girlfriend, then she won't pay for his, like, he's sort of like living in this fancy hotel, and there's like acres of land, and it's perfect and everything, it's just too perfect. And if his mum, because she's got little money, helps him out and tries to, like, if he has enough with his girlfriend, and she's not going to pay for his, you sort of don't exist anymore. You don't, you are like dead in a way. You just like live in some sort of like a pen drive or something, until you can find somewhere to sort of live. It's kind of weird, but when you watch it, it makes more sense. And so she has to find this like poor sort of version of this VR world, and I'm not sure what was quite wrong. I think it's like an older model. I can't remember now. He goes to this sort of like office, and this bloke's just like eating food, and he's like, "Oh, sorry." When they come there, and he's kind of not that professional, and but the worlds that he sort of offers. But I don't want to give too much away now. But live TV sort of. Yeah, it's just different, and it's just really is. I'm quite picky with comedies, and that's why I stick with my old comedies, because I don't think they're as good, but they're just not like, the one we'd sort of taken for granted, like Fools and Horses and Blackadder and things like that, but because they've been repeated over and over again. But it's like I only sort of got into Porridge about 10 years ago, because I did think, I sort of didn't go as far back as the 70s, or sort of 80s and 90s, sort of the noughties, and then that's it. That's how far I used to go into the nows. It's the noughties, and then as far back was the 80s, like I said, only Fools and Horses, and like the early Red Dwarf episodes and that. But I thought, no, I'm getting a bit sick of watching them over and over. My uncle's really, I remember he had a big video collection of Porridge, so and I started watching it. I thought, if he liked it, and it is just so, it's a little bit dated with some of the comments I say, and a bit racial, but nothing malicious in it, but just so quick-witted, like just like Blackadder, just the same sort of like gift of the gab, it's just, but it's funny, and I like when you get someone who's a bit cocky, but they can make fools of themselves as well. But now it's just it's like the comedy's just like some of the American comedy and maybe some of the Brits. It's like they're all trying to make themselves look good and have a go at everybody else, and it doesn't work. You've got to be real. Don't bullshit people. We're human, and no matter what, like, we see people in their pictures, and they could look pristine and immaculate, and the next minute after that picture's taken, they go to the toilet and they got shit on their hands because they've used some crappy toilet paper. You know what I mean? They've wake up in the morning and they've gums, or they've the lips have bled, and they've got shit on their teeth. It's just, and then they brush their teeth and all that, and then they take a picture, and you don't see any of that. And that's the sort of world we live in. We don't live in the real world. It's just all, it just seems to sort of make believe. But I think the comedies sort of bring this down, those old sort of comedies. It's like Dowell Boy going on a holiday, and he chats up some woman, and then she walks away and talks to this bloke, and he goes, "Sit here." She goes, "I would, but I can't get rid of this little Frenchman because he keeps coming out with these stupid French phrases." And he goes, "Oh, I'll get rid of him for you." So Dowell Boy thinks he's in, and he's got a couple of drinks, and for him and this woman, and this bloke's like, "Oh, thank you, waiter," and he grabs a drink off him. And this guy's bigger than Dowell Boy, so he knows he can't really knock him out. So this bloke sat on like an inflatable chair, and Dowell Boy just gets his cigar and just puts it out, and he falls. It's just like, yeah. But now it's just like sarcasm, but which has always been around, obviously, but it's kind of like just or what, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable with it. So anyway, upload. Yeah, Afterlife. I've just got 2 more episodes to watch of Afterlife 3. They are brilliant. You could just argue and say, oh yeah, it's just Ricky Gervais being himself, like slightly exaggerated and things like that. And I thought he's really close to his girlfriend Jane, and if anything happened to her, God forbid, then that's probably how he'd be in a way, callous and immoral in some ways. Not giving a shit basically, and even more than he don't already. But what was it? Oh yeah, the only thing is just too much talking about like gags about wanking. It's just, I know Rick Mayall did it, and obviously I'm a fan. But he kind of Rick just was more funny with it, and he moved on. Not moved on as in he never spoke about it again. He was always going, but I'm not trying to not contradict myself, but in an episode he'd mention it and then move the joke on to something else. But Ricky, it's not really him, but his characters. It's like there's this guy with a black beard, not the postman. I don't know the characters' names really. I've just about remembered Ricky's called Tony in it, and his girlfriend was called Lisa, and that's it. And this guy with the black beard, and he sat on the toilet, and his mate, who's a young lad, he's in the bathtub, and his mate's moved in with him, and he's like, his mate, the whole point of his mate moving in is just so he don't get interrupted. Like when he goes, he uses the bath, his mum kept walking in, and her boyfriend would walk in, and somebody else, and he goes, oh, I've got to get my own place, my own space, so this doesn't keep happening. And then when he moves in to this bloke's flat, he does the same thing. He's sat in the bog, and then he goes, oh, if I was, having a go, I could in your face, mate, or it's like, oh, God. And he mentions it once, you think, okay, but then he goes on about it, and then in the office bit where Ricky Gervais is like a journalist, these 2 blokes come in, and they're talking about their podcasts, and they don't have to write things because it's not, you don't do that anymore, you do podcasts. And they're just like doing like some sort of, they're sort of like pretending to wank and things like that. Oh, it's in my eye. Oh, it's in your grand's eye. And it just goes on and on and on. And I know it's trying to sort of embarrass the comedies, like, oh, it's embarrassing some of the people in that room, and that's what's funny, but it just goes on. And it's kind of funny when the boss is like, the boss is going to like, and he's dead skinny and pathetic and that. And but then that bloke who comes in, this is where it was funny. It was a bit, again, a bit over the top, like a bit as in like especially if you've got family in the room and you're watching it with your family or something, it's like you don't want to like look at them. But it was kind of funny when he spoke to this woman, and he goes, I got a joke for you, and he says something about gypsies, and she says that's actually quite racist, and he goes, no, because he's saying something about they smell, or something about smell. And he goes, no, they're fucking, my ex is the one, she's the one who smells, not them. Not saying because they're gypsies they smell. I'm saying that she smells because she's got smelly fanny or something, or smelly cabbage or something, I can't remember. And if you're American or whatever, it means ladies bits. And he goes, and anyway, why would God put a vagina next to an arsehole? It's going to smell in it. That was funny. Sick, I know, but don't watch it then, I guess. So, it's just, I just don't get, even as a bloke, I'm watching Rick Mayall for all them years. Just don't, even the live stage stuff, I used to think Rick used to go on way too much about wanking and stuff like that, but in Bottom it wasn't too, I think 'cause it's only a half an hour program, and that's what's annoying, because it is a half an hour program. They must spend about 10 minutes just talking about wanking, like in that in each program. It's not just a one-off, and then they don't. It's like, oh god. So that was Afterlife 3, and then Man Down. I've got that. I've mentioned this before in some of my early episodes, but it's the eldest one out of the other two I mentioned, but it's kind of newish. It's like within this sort of decade. Well, yeah. No, it ain't, because it's 2022, but it's within the last 9 years. So yeah, it's 2013 now. So it's a new decade. Yeah, no, whatever. And obviously Rick Mayall fan. I don't know why I keep looking over here. Sorry, the camera's over here. Ooh. And you want Rick to be the main man, but he's getting older. He's probably hasn't got quite. He's got energy, but not like constant like he did when he was younger, and even in his 30s, that's when he's starting to sweat more and stuff. And it's funny how that gets brought up in one of the bottom episodes. And I think he just wanted to pass the torch on a little bit, and plus he hadn't really been in on an awful lot of TV programs leading up to that, so it's been a few years before. I think he did a few dramas, and he did the odd Jonathan Creek episode and things like that, and he was playing quite straight in a lot of things he was doing. So this was like him being himself, and because of that, it was just, they just get better. I only watched 3 at when it first aired, and I just wanted to see more Rick, so I was a bit disappointed. And I didn't really know an awful lot about Greg Davies at the time, and all the other. There's a blonde woman, I don't know her name, and she's quite like sort of famous now, and she's funny, and like everything I've seen her in, she's always like, it's a bit sick what she comes out with, but it's kind of funny. It's like she's in Afterlife as well, and I think she's on some of the like 8 out of 10 Cats on Channel 4, which is a chat show, like a game show, comedy game show in the UK, if you don't know. She's on sort of a lot of British chat shows and things like that, like again, comedy. And so you see different characters and different actors, and it's not just Rick Mayall and Aid Edmondson, so, and Greg Davies is sort of a modern day version of Rick, I suppose. It's just so, but it's just so different. Again, it's another niche, and there's another comedy show called The Mimic. Weren't really going to mention it, but because I've mentioned Man Down before in another episode, in case you haven't seen that episode, because only like 5 people, if I'm lucky, watch these. But I'm going to keep going, see how long it goes on for. Either I'm going to get bored with this, and that's going to win, and then you won't see me do this again, or I'll just keep going on, just keep doing it. It's just tricky because my semester 2 starts, and not next week, but the week after, so I'll have even less time to. And there's still nobody here live. There's one person showed up, and they went, pfft. Either they can't hear me, or they're like, what the fuck? Yeah, the Mimic isn't Rick or Greg Davies. I don't know his name. I mean, that's not a surprise. But he's one of the best impressionists that I've heard, like ever, really. I was going to say in a long time, but there's this Alistair McGowan or something. He was one of my favourites. And Rory Brenner, he was all right. He just like I think he does, or he did do spitting image, the voices for that. But you can, when you get a good impersonator, you don't hear their actual voice in the impression. You might hear it a little bit, but the less you hear it, the you know the better, I guess. And in Rory Brenda, you can sort of hear his voice a little bit in some of the impressions he does, and but this mimic is just so good. He does the common ones, the Arnold and all that, but he does like Christopher Walken, I think his name is, from Batman Returns. But it's just like basically every moment of his life he's doing it. So he's in his car and he's doing a sort of host game. No, not game show. It's called Terry Wogan. Again, in case you're not British, and he's passed on now. But he used to do BBC Radio 2, and he'd be talking away. And he does Radio 2, and you're like, why is he doing that for? Why don't he just flick the radio on? And then the camera pans down, and you just see he's got no radio. So he used his radio. So he's driving around going to work, and his radio. It's so good. He kind of reminds me of the black guy in there's quite a few black people in Police Academy, but the guy does all the impressions, but he don't go doesn't do sound effects. He does just voices. And like he'd get out of his car and he'd get directions, and this bloke or person he's talking to will have an accent, and say he's a Cockney, and he goes, "Excuse me, do you know where like Greg's is or something?" And they go, and this black man would go, "Yeah, you just turn, all right, you just turn left and then you turn right, all right, mate." And they go, "Oh yeah, thanks." And then he goes, "You just turn left and and he's walking away, and this bloke's going, "Is he taking a piss out?" Like that. And then they'd ask, like, say, a postman about something, and he'll do an impression of him when he walks away from him. And then he's in like a dead end job, and he wants to really do what he wants to do, which is like impressions and that, but he can't find like a job for it. And then his son gets him a interview, or finds a job for him or something, and he's on this interview, and he's waiting and waiting to get interviewed, and he's in a room, and there's all these seats, there's a table in the middle and seats opposite, and he's just so bored. So he sits on all these seats at different times, and he does like Mr. T, and then he does like Arnold, and then like Christopher Walken, and all these like celebrities, and it's just like one after another. It's like, how does he change? I mean, with it being recorded, maybe they kept cutting things, but I don't know. It can. I think people can do that, but it's just amazing though, because you don't actually hear. You know what he sounds like, so you don't actually hear his voice in his impressions. And it's like when he goes to one chain, he goes, "Get down," like that, and it's like, "Oh, get to the job, get down." And then he goes and does like Mr. T, like, "Unbelievable," or something. And and I can't do him as good as him, but yeah, it's really, they only made like 2 series, I think, on Channel 4, or I think it might be on 4D, but it's just a shame, really. But they didn't do any more. But I am trying to get the DVDs for that, because I think they've took them off 4OD. It's a bit one-sided because there's nobody on here. So if you go and watch this later, then that's why it might be a bit boring if you can't, like, because I don't know if anyone's interested in any of this because there's just no feedback. So if you can please comment or like at least, then the more likes, apparently, the more people will see this, and I'll just have an indication, because it does drive you like nuts, because you just feel like you're talking to yourself. But I'm hoping I found a niche here. I'm going to create a poll. I don't know if I can do this not live, so I'll do this now. So I'm going to ask anyone. I'm hoping you can do this later because I'm going to go off this in about 5 minutes. So which comedies comedies it's a children's program. It's the best. And which comedy is the best? So we've got Afterlife. It's a little bit unfair because Afterlife has had 3 seasons and it's just Ricky Gervais. So even a lot of Americans know who Ricky Gervais is. I'm sorry if you can't hear what I'm saying, but I've only got no one on here. I was going to say I've only got one person, but I haven't even got one person. Afterlife, upload. And if you don't know what upload is, then Afterlife or Man Down. Probably going to be Afterlife. You're thinking Man Down's one word. Oh, for God's sake, cap locks. Got no, again, got no cap button, like it doesn't, again, it doesn't tell me on my keyboard, like I don't get a green light. It's really annoying when you're writing essays for uni and there's no green light to say, and you do like a paragraph and it's like, oh, right, ask the community. I don't know if that's worked. Yeah, so it's on there, people, or person, or nobody. I don't know what it's doing now. So it's just trying things out. I'm sorry about that, but as there's nobody here, does it matter? So if you can please like, it's just the way YouTube works. If you're not too sure about YouTube, it's very important because then it gets back to more, I don't know, just more people get to see it. If the more likes it gets, even if it's 2 or 3 likes, it will help. You know, if say 5 people end up watching this, then 6 or 7, and then if people can leave comments, and then I know whether it's good or bad. You know, so it doesn't have to be nice. Well, hopefully friendly, hopefully like helpful criticism, not like this is crap. Why is it crap? That's not really helpful, is it? Yeah, and it is called Talking Bollocks, hence the name. So I'm not getting arsy, I'm just, you know, saying. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and I do the content. I've just sort of been sticking with this because I've got mock, rock and mock, and that sort of things I sort of rock, and things I mock. And I did one about AFTV, which is an Arsenal football channel, and I did one about Boris because he's been getting on everyone's nerves. This is about a year ago now, so it's a little bit behind, and it was about the jabs, and a lot of people, even now, there's like, is it safe? So I did like a scene from oh god, a film with Dustin Hoffman. I can't remember the name of it, but he goes, he gets tortured in it, and this German sort of guy who's torturing him goes, "Is it safe?" Because he thinks Dustin's a secret agent, and he's like, "What's safe?" He's like, "Is it safe?" He's like, "What's safe? Is it safe?" Like that. And it just keeps going on. Is it safe? Like that. So I kept adding that to like when Boris is like, "It's safe," and all this. It just reminded me. And then there's me, like, come out of the toilet, and it's like I get caught on camera. I'm like, and then I'll put him saying, "Is it safe?" I'm like, just give it a minute. And then I've got Stinky Steve as well. It's a comedy animation, just 2 episodes. Basically, this man who lived next door to me, he had arthritis. He could walk, and my tutor was like, "Oh, be careful with that because he's in a wheelchair." And he's not. He can walk perfectly well. It's just, yeah, he can't go too far, so he uses a scooter. And because he's a pisshead, he's got antibiotics off the doctors for his ankles or something. But because he gets drunk, he's too drunk to walk. It's the alcohol. Hello, welcome to the show. Just talking about new comedies, but hello, I'm English, so I can't understand what you just said. But thank you anyway. But maybe you can understand me because English is quite a common language. Yeah, so thanks for that comment too. Again, I can see if I can translate. If there's a translator on here. No, there isn't. This is going to sound a bit random because you've caught me talking about something. But I've got an animation, again, called Stinky Steve. And hello, can you translate that into English, please? Because I can't understand that language. So yeah, and he was getting drunk during when there's like 1,000 people dying a day of COVID, and then an ambulance would come out every like couple of days just because he was drunk. And I thought, right, I'm going to make an animation about this idiot. And and the ambulance people would come out and they'd tell him to fuck off and things like this. And he was just a vile person, but he sadly passed away last year, so I just didn't make any more episodes of the Stinky Steve. So moving on, back on, I should say, I was talking about a comedy called Upload. It's on Amazon Prime. So for people who watch this again, I'm like, oh my god, he's already spent 10 minutes watching this. Thanks for that. Upload, brilliant. Afterlife 3, brilliant. And I've still got 2 more episodes to watch. Ricky Gervais, from Brazil. Hello. How do you say your name? Jose? I'm terrible. Even my English is bad, and I'm obviously English. But is it morning over there? Yeah, I love Brazil. I'm an Arsenal fan, so we've got Martinelli, who plays for Arsenal, Edu, who's our technical director, and who else we've had? David Luiz. But I'm trying to stick with comedy, so I don't want to put anyone off who doesn't like. Some people don't like football now. I'm just going to carry this on for just a little bit longer. So yeah, I've done Stinky Steve, Stinky Steve, Mox and Rock. No, Rock and Mock. I can't remember because it was about a year ago. Might go back to that. It's just trying to find another thing that, because with the second episode, some people might not be able to relate to it. So it's like, right, I'm gonna have to, even though it's about COVID, but then people might go, oh, it's another one about COVID. I'm sick of that. Excuse me. What else have I done on here? Oh yeah, I've got Bad Director. Made a little short film for uni. It's supposed to be. It's a mixture of a mockumentary. It wasn't supposed to be that. It's supposed to be like a James Bond comedy, like a Johnny English comedy. But with this pandemic, no. I was lucky enough to get this actor who's fantastic, Will. So it's not just me fooling around, it's mostly him, or 50% him. And he's so professional, and he's convincing to me he could be like a James Bond. And I'm playing this director, hence Bad Director, because I'm erratic and deluded, and I'm thinking I'm going to make this multi-million-pound film, and it's not happening, and it's just me, him, and the camera, and it's just basically laughing at myself. And yeah, it's trying to get myself through the university course. Got 64%, so that's a merit. 70s like distinction, so that's not too bad. Didn't have a crew because of the pandemic. Was going to do some green screen in the studio, and that weren't to do with the pandemic because we came out of the lockdown. And it's just Will. He does motocross sport at weekends, and no, that's why we couldn't do any more filming to improve it. But he only gets he only had weekends off at the time, and the studio's closed then, so we couldn't do green screen. So so it's a bit peculiar in like the way it got filmed, because I just had to use what I had. But I think the gags are there and the story's okay. So my first sort of 9-10 minute short, I tried to do as professionally as I could, but I only had that sort of Nikon as my camera, and I could use like a Sony 4K camera, and with more equipment, and again green screen and all that. So it's frustrating, but it's just the way it is. So anyway, anyone who watches this later on, thanks for watching. Thanks to a friend from Brazil for joining in. Appreciate that he translated it in English because I couldn't read his early comments. They could say anything like, "What the fuck? What's this crap?" But I'm sure he didn't. I'm just being a bit pessimistic. So yeah, take care, and hopefully see more viewers for episode 10. And Happy New Year. Bit late, but end.